All right, so first things first, we're going to talk about Path of Exile 2 update 021, the newest update to come out. Got some pretty cool stuff coming here. The old 02.1 patch notes featuring they added 22 new endgame runes. Very, very cool. 7 new endgame talismans. Very nice. And 15 new endgame soul cores. So a whole bunch of socketables added to the game, which is really nice to see because we needed a lot more variety when it comes to crafting items, stuff like that. It's been just a little on the light side. So nice to see that they are adding a bunch of new stuff. They've significantly increased the number of mythic unique items that will drop, which is great. On my solo self-found run with my Huntress right now, I've got about 20 uniques after completing all of the campaign and about 3 or 4 maps that I've done so far in endgame. So I haven't found a ton of uniques, but 20 is not too shabby for getting through campaign. But it's nice to see that we're going to get a lot more of the high-end items because a lot of the stuff that I have right now is kind of low tier to mid tier, so not a ton of super useful things. They also changed the uniques item drop calculation. No longer consider an item's class. This will make unique rings and amulets significantly more common. So this was something that they talked about it over on the Talk to Try interview. Discussing that with Jonathan. They went over how they were previously, the unique items had been rolled by classifying the item first and then figuring out whether it would roll for rare enough to basically give you a unique item. So they've changed that now so that unique items now just drop on a single percentage chance. You don't have to double up on getting lucky to be able to roll yourself a unique item. So hopefully that is going to help increase the chances of getting an actual unique item. They also reduced the number of common unique items that drop as rarity on areas. Wow, that is a word salad. Reduced the number of common unique items that drop as rarity on areas increase, allowing more of the better uniques to drop instead. So I'm assuming what this means is when you get items that increase the chances of rarity in certain maps and stuff, that will increase your rarity for uncommon and up items. So it won't be using common items themselves. So nice to see. Hopefully, again, should help drop a lot more of those fancier uniques that we're expecting. The bonus to the number of uniques while playing in a party was significantly higher than we intended and has been lowered significantly. With the other changes to unique rarity, you will still be getting a significant buff to the number of rare and mythic uniques you are finding. The overall number of uniques in party play will be lowered due to finding less commons and uncommons. This should fix the significant advantage that party play had over solo play for wealth acquisition. Right, so that was something that I had heard from a bunch of different people was, hey, if you want to collect uniques, basically the only way to do it is to play in a party. And hopefully this now will balance things out so that if you're like me and you play solo self-found, you'll still have a pretty equal chance of dropping uniques as you did in party play. Obviously, with more players killing monsters and rolling for those uniques, you are going to still have a slightly higher advantage over other people who are playing solo self-found, but hopefully it won't be such a drastic amount that it makes playing in party play like a must-have. Next up, the item modifier tier numbering has been reversed. So smaller numbers represent stronger modifiers, with 1 being the best value modifier of that type. So this was an interesting change that they decided to do. Path of Exile 1 originally was set up so that tier 1 is your best modifier tier, and obviously it would go down from there depending on how good or how bad I guess that tier would be. So they've now swapped that around for Path of Exile 2. Originally it was tier 1 was your just basic item modifier and then would go up from there. So now if you find something with a tier 1, that's a good thing. Whereas previously it was a bad thing. So it might take a little bit of getting used to watching for those tier 1, tier 2 modifiers. Those are really good modifiers now. But I'm glad that they did swap this around. I understand why they did it originally for Path of Exile 2. The idea behind it originally was to allow for them to add obviously higher tier modifiers and things like that later on and just make it that much easier. But the way that they're doing it this way makes it a little bit harder for them to add new tiers and stuff and new modifiers as well. So they just have to shift things around a little bit more, which that's a bit more development time, but I think it's a better choice. And they adjusted the appearance of all omens. The same number of omens appear, but when omens, which omens they are, has been adjusted heavily to have the rare and more powerful ones appear more frequently. The rarest ones should appear 6 times more frequently in the ritual tribute window, as an example. So omens obviously did the exact same adjustment as they did with the unique items. You're going to find a lot more of those really good omens rather than just finding cheapy kind of junky ones. So nice to see that they made those tweaks there. I haven't found any omens yet, so hopefully that is going to help me find some more when I do dive back in to start doing some more mapping. And they added a refund all passives option to the passive skill tree. This will only appear if you're able to afford refunding every allocated point. This is a really cool idea. I'm glad that they did this. I was really hoping that they were going to adjust the cost of respecking as well, because the refund for passes is still a little bit expensive, in my opinion. I think it's still too expensive for early access. When it comes to early access, like, you should be able to just refund whatever you want and build whatever build you want, because obviously they want us to test things like that. But still haven't adjusted the cost of it yet. I have a funny feeling that probably in 0.3 we are going to see a change to that, so that refunding your pass is a little cheaper. But we'll have to wait and see how that all shows out. But adding the refund all passes is nice. You don't have to go through and click every single passive point. You can just click a button and refund everything if you can afford it. Massively increased the chance of corrupting a monster trapped in essence to upgrade essences to greater and greater to corrupted. So this is a nice little touch. Again, the trapped monsters would drop specific essences and stuff. Most of the time they would drop basic essences unless you were able to corrupt it. But the corruption was very, very minimal. It was a pretty random chance. So wasting your Val Orbs on that was really not very useful. I think I used maybe 2 or 3 throughout my campaign run that I did. And every time I don't think I ever got a corrupted essence. I'm not even sure if might have gotten 1 greater essence out of doing that. So hopefully this is obviously going to increase the chances of getting those corrupted ones, which are way cooler and have much better modifiers. And they improved the passive skill tree search functionality on mouse and keyboard. After typing within the search field, press enter to have the passive skill tree move around the tree to show you nodes which match. This is a really great adjustment. I find myself quite often searching for specific modifier things. And so like for my Huntress, I'm playing as a bleed Huntress. So we're using Herald of Blood and things like that. So I'm always looking for stuff that does like incision, bleed, and that kind of whatnot. But obviously before you had to search the thing and then zoom right out and then look for the flashing nodes on the skill tree and then hopefully be able to path your way to that. What this does now is you can search for something like incision and then just keep pressing enter and it'll bounce you around the skill tree and show you where those nodes are. So again, another nice little quality of life adjustment. GGG always just making it easier on us. So hopefully they continue to do that because we definitely need it. All right, monster balances. This is one that I was hoping for. Some of the monsters are still a little bit ridiculous. The smothered ritual type that spawns chaos volatiles has had its spawn frequency halved and the damage lowered. This is a nice little touch. Chaos volatiles are kind of insane and ridiculous, especially the volatile plants. I actually have they're so strong that I actually have a quadrilla that I've been running with my Huntress, and it spits out volatile plants and launches those little purple balls around, and it pretty much takes out everything. So they're very useful when they're on your team. However, it also covers the entire screen. So more than once, I've been like fighting something else that has volatile plants, and it's killed me because I'm thinking, oh, that's one of my plants. It's not. Nice to see that they are going to be reducing that a little bit. So fixed an issue where volatile plants were dealing a little over double their intended damage. No, they nerfed my plants. Oh no. That's not fun. It's a good thing because volatile plants, I think they said, accounted for 50% of all player deaths, which is just absolutely insane. Like, we should not be seeing that many people dying from volatile plants. So nice to see that they have adjusted that a little bit. Hopefully you're not just going to get spammed by purple balls now and, you know, get wiped out every single time. Empowering volatile plants mod on rare monsters has had its damage reduced. There's the nerf to my quadrilla, or George is not going to be as useful as before. I might have to switch over to my other electric quadrilla, maybe. Shoots out electricity and stuff. Be a little bit more useful. Sucks that they had to nerf that. It was a really cool little mod, but I guess that is the trade-off from not dying from it as often. Volatile plants and empowering volatile plants now spawn 2 volatiles at once instead of 3. And even further nerf to that. Okay, so less so less plants. Okay, yeah, so you're just gonna get spammed by fewer of them, which is good. They do get a little bit ridiculous at times. Volatile plants and empowering volatile plants now disappear when the rare monster that spawned them dies. Oh, okay, so they won't stick around. Okay, so I'm assuming that this is going to reduce the chances of those after death effects. It doesn't say that the volatile bombs that they shoot out disappear. It's just saying that the plants disappear. So they won't, hopefully they won't shoot more, but it would be nice if the actual like little plant ball things what disappeared as well, but that's all good. And Forsaken Miner's death animation no longer leaves a primed grenade on their corpse. This is a very good change. Yeah, more than once I fought that stupid fucker and I kill him and then he'd blow me up right afterwards and lose all my loot. So nice to see that they've adjusted that, gotten rid of that little primed grenade. After death effects are something that a lot of people have been complaining about, myself included. It's like there's nothing worse than killing a monster and then all of a sudden it just kills you back like right afterwards, especially if they drop something cool, because you end up losing a lot of your loot that way. Rat tornadoes from the infested ritual type have had their damage and move speed reduced slightly. Okay, good. Monsters in general just kind of move a little too quickly, so Draven, the Eternal Praetor's melee damage has been reduced slightly. His projectile cleave has also been reduced. Really interesting. Draven, I didn't think was all that... He wasn't all that difficult. I kind of kicked his ass pretty easily when I was fighting him. So that is surprising. Improved the visual effects of Chaos Volatiles. Very nice. This will hopefully make them a little bit easier to dodge and to see when they are getting launched around the room. Lightning Storm Strongbox modifier now causes fewer lightning bolts, and its lightning bolts have improved visual effects. Again, making those damaging effects a little bit more easier to manage and easier to see. Lowered the damage of the Unearthed Runecaster from the Expedition. Unearthed Runecaster's projectile now correctly deals both fire and cold damage. Okay, so overall monster balance, not too many changes. The Rat Tornadoes is a nice change. This is good. They were a little bit too fast. The volatile plants is something that they talked about changing, so I'm not surprised to see that they have nerfed them. I was not expecting this much of a nerf, because it looks it looks like they've basically cut them down like a quarter to 3/4, like a lot. They're a quarter as difficult now because they've halved the spawn frequency, lowered the damage, and reduced the amount of volatiles that it spits out. So they pretty much made them, yeah, like a quarter as difficult, which is interesting to see that large of a nerf. But considering that they made up 50% of deaths, like, and not surprising to see in that case. But yeah, too bad my Quadrilla is not going to be as effective as he was before, but good thing I've got multiples of them. So all right, into the end game changes here. Update 0.2.1. Drastically increased the variety of endgame maps. Previously, some maps like Hidden Grotto spawned way more frequently than others, 1,000 times more frequently apparently. Now each map type should spawn approximately as frequent as any other. So this is a good change. Obviously, Hidden Grotto just got like absolutely ridiculous and kept getting spammed like every second or third map. So hopefully we're not going to see doubled up and tripled up of those kinds of maps. There's a lot more variety in the end game, which is always good. You know, nothing more boring than playing the same ones over and over and over again. So I followed. Oh, right on. Thanks for following, Swift. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thanks for hanging out with us over on Kick. Not too bad, a little platform, right? Kind of runs similar to Twitch from what I've been seeing. I still got to work on a bunch of the alerts and stuff like that, but once I get it all sorted out, it should run pretty smoothly. Lessen the restrictions on which packs of monsters could appear in different Atlas biomes. This will result in a significant increase to the variety of monsters appearing in endgame maps. Okay. The few monster pack types that were available in all biomes were appearing significantly more frequently than they should have, making endgame combat much less interesting could have been. So just obviously making the variety of monsters a lot more variable, I guess you could say. So more variety, more monsters, nothing wrong with that. So again, just similar to what they were doing with the maps, just making sure things aren't doubling up, which is great to see. Always good. Variety is something that is missing in the Path of Exile 2 endgame, so hopefully they continue iterating on that. I would love to see them release a bunch of new maps and stuff like that, because I know that some of the maps that they've released are from Act 4, I believe, but there's still maps from Act 5 and 6 that haven't been added in yet. So I'd be interested to see them spit out, you know, another map pack or something like that in maybe 0.3 or 0.4. Right, the distance that you can see features in the Atlas Fog of War is now based on the distance to the nearest revealed map, making this much more consistent. This means you no longer have to frequently check an unknown distance in the fog when searching for citadels. This did make citadels slightly harder to find, so we increased the spawn rate of them also. Nice. Yeah, citadels are something that pretty much everyone's always chasing. They were kind of difficult to find. I know they mentioned before that they had also changed the way citadels spawn. So when they spawn in now, they're supposed to spawn in clusters of 3. So you'll find 3 of the different citadels that you need rather than constantly finding multiples of the same kind. So good little change there. Cities on the Atlas will now mostly spawn in loose clusters of 3 with 1 of each city. Cities? That's supposed to say, I think that was meant to say citadel. I don't think that was supposed to say cities. It's possible though. I'll have to check that when I jump into endgame later on tonight. In-game waystone modifiers that apply curses to the area now instead periodically cast the respective curse on ground targeted areas, the same as the player casted skills. Okay, cool. Oh, so they don't just show up. I see. And they're going to show up randomly rather than just appearing on the ground. That makes more sense. Well, they'll appear and disappear over time. Disabled the of giants map modifiers, area of effect modifier. Ooh, interesting. The of splitting map modifier now only appears in tier 6 plus maps. Additional projectiles modifier. Cool. The of penetration map modifier no longer has tiers and has a value of 10% to 15%, reduced from 15 to 25%. Ah, okay. So pretty much made a bunch of changes to map modifiers here. Area of effect is a big one for sure. The splitting one also. Penetration. Penetration, I'm pretty sure, refers to, that would be armor and elemental, I believe. So hopefully that'll make some of the lower tier maps just a little bit easier to run. But yeah, good changes there. Rogue exiles in the endgame areas have a much higher chance to spawn with unique items. Nice. I have fought multiple rogue exiles and I have never seen one with a unique item. So hopefully they will start spitting out some really cool items, because I could use some nice uniques, especially now that I'm into endgame and started mapping with my hunters. I'm starting to realize that the gear is a little bit under leveled, and the uniques I'm running are cool, but you know, they're still just not quite cutting it. So hopefully I can find some new stuff to replace them with. All right, the ritual modifier that spawned chaos pustules now spawns them at a much lower frequency and have been increased in size slightly so they are more visible. This does not affect their damaging area of effect. So it just makes them larger to see, but same AoE. I like it. The Viridian Wildwood unique map now contains more enemies and more rewarding encounters. Quite a bit of changes to maps. Added visual indicators to omen altars inside the Viridian Wildwood unique map. These visuals can also be seen behind the darkness. Ooh, okay. That's quite a change, actually. Adjusted the frequency of omen altars inside the Viridian Wildwood to reduce variance, increase the average per map. You're going to find them more often, too. That's cool. So that's going to create a lot of variety in the Viridian Wildwood. The Twisted Domain now drops significantly more catalysts on average. Breach rings dropped from clasped hands in Twisted Domain are now always rare. Ooh, very cool. No more magic breach rings. Nice. Monsters in the Twisted Domain are now more rewarding. So I'm assuming just higher tier items or higher rarity maybe. Interesting. We'll have to do some testing on that. Lowered the number of it that watches monsters in the Twisted Domain. Adjusting that. Assuming this be probably smaller pack sizes. Increased rare and magic pack chance in the Twisted Domain. Okay. So reduce the numbers of monsters, but increase the chances of rare and magics, which is nice because you get better loot drops for your rares and magics. So kind of balances itself out, right? Difficulty wise. The base radius of explosives in logbooks have been increased by 25%. Regular map encounters are unchanged. 25% increases. That's quite a bit. I guess it's going to make logbooks a little bit more worth it, I guess. Additional logbook content such as hidden caves are now guaranteed at all levels. Okay, cool. The Frigid Bluffs Expedition logbook area now spawns unique monsters encased in ice. Ooh. These monsters can be broken out with explosives. Very cool. Unique monsters. What's wrong with that? More battles, more loot. The frequency of special remnants in each expedition logbook area have been more than doubled. Wow. Thanks. That's a big change. The amount of remnants in expedition logbooks has been slightly increased. Yeah. So higher frequency of specials, an increased amount of remnants overall. Very nice. Special destructibles in expedition logbook areas, such as crates of gold in the barren hole, now spawn more frequently. Awesome. More loot, more good stuff to find. Expedition logbook areas spawn more monsters and a slightly higher proportion of rare monsters. Okay. So with increasing some of the rewards that you can get, also increasing the amount of monsters. Wrong with that. More monsters, more loot, more monsters. Many chests found in the expedition logbook areas are now guaranteed to drop a rare item. Guaranteed to drop a rare. That just makes life so much easier. A lot less chasing around, and hopefully some better rare drops. Ezamite remnants in the Barren Atoll expedition logbook area drop larger amounts of runes. Heck yeah. Assuming that's because they added all of those chase runes now, so hopefully a lot higher chance to find those Barren Atoll. Crates of gold in the Barren Atoll expedition logbook area drop significantly more gold. Nice. More runes, more gold. Just making the expedition that much more worth it to run. Barren Atoll expedition logbook areas now have a much larger quantity and variety of buried strong boxes. Strong boxes now have minimap icons. Nice. That's a really cool change. Makes them that much easier to find too. Some really good changes for endgame here. Replace the functionality of expedition remnants unique to the Rigid Bluffs expedition logbook area. Replaced with what? I'm not sure. Added a new type of expedition remnant that can appear in Lush Isle expedition logbook areas. The minimap icon for expedition remnants that are specific to each type of logbook now has their own unique icon. Nice. Yeah, because I think before they're all just the exact same icon, so now you'll be able to chase around the map a little bit easier. Inscribed ultimatums that lead to a boss now indicate which boss will be found. Ooh, interesting. The Immured Fury will no longer try to respawn in ritual encounters and prevent the encounter from completing. Good change, but really strange that it would respawn itself. Very nice. Making ritual that much more fun. Improve the visual effects of the Delirium Spite Monsters Lightning Ball Skill. So, pretty decent changes for endgame all around. More map variety, more monster variety. Nice to see. Citadels are going to be easier to find now because they're spawning in clusters of 3. Changed a bunch of the map modifiers. Rogue Exiles have higher chance to spawn unique items. That's nice to see. Lots of unique map changes. So overall, just some really good changes to endgame. Not a ton, but some good changes. Definitely stepping in the right direction. The big thing that I like the most is the expedition changes. Looking a lot more like running expedition logbooks is going to be just worth that much more, which is great because that is kind of sort of like the end game content that everybody's going to be running. Like, you know, once you get to a certain point, like those logbooks are kind of your bread and butter. So making those more fun to run and actually complete, make some money off of, get some good drops. So hopefully you guys start collecting up all those uniques. And speaking of uniques, move on to this section here. They've added 9 new unique items. Most of these are aimed at providing endgame chase uniques for a variety of builds. Only 9 new uniques. It's a start. It's a start. We need more than that, GGG. I was hoping for like 90 new unique items, but 9 will do. Increased the overall power of several existing endgame unique items. Okay. Headhunter now steals enemy modifiers for 60 seconds, previously 20 seconds. Nice. That's huge. This change automatically affects existing items. Okay, so you won't have to find a new piece of Headhunter for it to work properly. Good. That's like a 3 times increase, which makes sense. Stealing modifiers is something I've never done. Like with the Huntress, you can do it with the ritual sacrifice thing, and I've just never bothered with it because it's just kind of pointless. Like you only get it for a certain amount of time. I think it's like 20 or 30 seconds as well. So it's just such a short amount of time to have to try and do something like that. You don't get a ton of like great modifiers half the time anyways. So a nice little change there, tripling that. The Hammer of Faith unique two-handed mace now has a 250-300% increased physical damage, previously 200 to 250. Existing items can be updated with a Divine Orb, and now also grants random shrine buffs for 20 seconds, previously 10 seconds. This change affects existing items automatically. Okay. So for the damage increase, you need to use a Divine. But the shrine buff increase will happen automatically. That's odd. I don't know why they wouldn't just change it all automatically, but fair enough. The Guiding Palm unique scepters have received significant updates. None of these changes affect existing versions of the items other than the flat damage changes, which can be updated using a Divine Orb. The fire variant of the Guiding Palm is now called Guiding Palm of the Heart. Okay. And a name change. It now grants allies in your presence 15 to 23 to 28 to 35 added fire damage to attacks. Nice. Previously 4 to 6, 7 to 10. Wow, that is a massive bump up. Holy shit. Like 3 times is almost 4 times as strong. Right on. That's deadly. It now grants 20 to 30 strength instead of 7 to 13 to all attributes. Okay. So there's the trade-off. Now grants you 25% of damage as extra fire damage and a permanent guided meteor shrine buff. Causes meteors to rain down around you and in range of enemies. Permanent buff. Wow. Okay. That's a pretty cool change. Big old buff to Guiding Palm. Now called Guiding Palm of the Hearts. That's pretty sweet. The cold variant of Guiding Palm is now called Guiding Palm of the Eye. It now grants allies in your presence 15 to 23, 28 to 35 cold damage, previously 3 to 5, 6 to 8. Okay, so similar grade buff for that one. It now grants 20 to 30 intelligence instead of 7 to 13 all attributes. Makes sense. Guiding Palm of the Eye. It now grants you 25% of damage as extra cold damage and a permanent guided freezing shrine buff that causes freezing shards to fire around you in a spiral while in of enemies. That's pretty cool. Very nice. That's a scepter too. Okay, cool. The lightning variant of the Guiding Palm is now called the Guiding Palm of the Mind. Not sure why that. They definitely should have swapped those names. I'm just noticing that now. Guiding Palm of the Mind. It now grants allies in your presence 1 to 56, 70. Holy shit, that's huge. Added lightning damage to attacks, previously 1 to 10 to 15. Wow, that's a massive buff. Now grants 20 to 30 dexterity. Yeah, see, that's why I was saying like eye instead of mind. Intelligence should have been mind, but that's just me being picky. Instead of 7 to 13 for attributes, same before. It now grants you 25% extra lightning damage and a permanent guided tempest shrine buff that causes lightning bolts to strike the ground around you when in range of enemies. Very cool. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for these scepters. Guiding Palm of the Heart, Guiding Palm of the Eye, and Guiding Palm of the Mind. Very, very cool stuff. Mjolnir, here we go. The Mjolnir unique one-handed mace now has 250 to 350% increased physical damage, previously 150 to 200. Makes sense. It is literally Thor's hammer. It should just Foot slam. And grants +2 to 4 level of lightning skills, previously +1. Nice. That's a big buff. Existing items can be updated using a divine arm. Very cool. Yeah, Mjolnir is a really cool, unique item that people have been chasing for a while now. Very neat looking. I've seen a bunch of the previews and stuff for it. It looks really awesome. Nice little buff to that, especially the 2 to 4 lightning skills. Like that's a nice touch. Lightning spell on melee hit meta skill granted by Mjolnir has been renamed to the Thunder God's Wrath. I like that. It now causes triggered spells to cost no mana. Okay. And grants them a level dependent amount of increased damage up to 200% at skill level 20. Nice. That's a good little touch. Mjolnir is looking good. Definitely that Thor build is going to be pretty solid. Now the Spire of Ire unique spear now has 167 to 201 to 267 to 333 chaos damage. Okay. Previously 106 to 146, 81 to 221. That looks like 110 to 120 damage increase. Very nice. And a 10 to 20% of physical damage leeches life, previously 6 to 10%. Cool. Pretty much doubled leech life. 16 items can be updated using Divine Arm. So, nice little boost to spear there. That's one I've been chasing, the Spire of Ire. Very cool looking spear. Yeah, looking good. Looking good. Nice little buff. Chaom's Heart now has plus 1500 to maximum life. Previously 1000. Okay. Existing items can be updated with a Divine Orb. Prism Guardian now grants 1 spirit per 25 maximum life. Previously 1 per 50. Ooh. Nice. Double the spirit now from Prism Guardian. Of course, they can be updated again with Divine Orb. Defiance of Destiny now grants 10 to 20% of missing life recovered before being hit. Previously always 10%. Existing items can be updated with Divine Orb. Okay, so they just added a range to Defiance of Destiny. Fair enough. Yoke of Suffering now causes enemies to take 15 to 20% increased damage for each type or elemental ailments on them. Previously 5 to 10%. But also now reduces ignite, shock, and chill duration by 30 to 40%. Previously 20. Okay, so hits harder, but not as long lasting. Missing items can be updated with Divine Orb. And finally, Bringer of Rain now has a 100% increased critical hit chance in addition to its other modifiers. Change does not affect it. Interesting. 100% increased critical hit chance. Ooh. Ooh. That's a nice little buff. But yeah, basically for uniques, a couple of new, 9 new unique items. Really cool to see. I like having new uniques. Some really good changes to a bunch of the existing ones, especially the Guiding Palms. Guiding Palms are really, really strong now. Mjolnir especially has gotten a massive buff, which is great to see. Anything that helps the warrior classes out, it is definitely a positive, because the warrior melee is still not nearly as effective as magic and ranged. So hopefully they keep doing some more work on that. If it means just adding more cool uniques that you can get. All right, miscellaneous changes. Defeating Balbala in normal difficulty Trader's Passage will drop a quest version of Balbala's Barya. If you do not currently have the quest item, or you haven't already gotten your ascendancy points from using Balbala's Barya. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, did it just drop a random? It must have just dropped a random one before. Because the quest tokens that you get, they usually turn green. So maybe that's what it's getting at. That it'll actually drop a quest one this time around. Okay. Interesting change. Optimize the physics of monsters found in Freythorn. Thank God. Optimization is something that this game needs more and more of. So seeing that they are optimizing monsters is a positive. Freythorn was just brutal. You get more than one pack coming at you and everything just kind of bogs down. So nice to see them change that. Incremental audio added for the monk character class. Yeah. Pretty cool. Incremental audio improvements for various monster abilities. Incremental audio improvements for various player skills. A few little audio adjustments there. Search filters within uncut support and support gem UI are now cleared when exiting the menu. Didn't clear them before. That's strange. Nice change though. Like feel well, right? And you don't have to like backspace it every time. The affliction in Trial of the Sekimas that caused you to have no energy shield now instead applies 50% less energy. Okay, so we were reading about this in the preview that I did. It was last week. So that it isn't immediately dead on arrival when you are chaos inoculation. Yeah, so that's a nice change. It was something that was, even if you weren't using chaos inoculation, having all of your energy shield just get like zapped right out, that's rough, especially if you run, you know, a character that's got high energy shield. Like my Huntress, I run with high energy shield. I think I've got like a 450 or 500 energy shield along with my, you know, health boosts and stuff. So this is a nice change. Trial of the Sekimas can get really frustrating with some of the negatives. Increase the trigger radius of clasped hands inside breach encounters. Firestorm can now consume ignites from corpses in front of you in addition to living enemies. Ooh, okay, cool. Quest rewards can now be quick moved on gamepad. Console updates. Updated accept trade to R1 on gamepad for disenchant window and player-to-player trade on gamepad to be more consistent with the rest of the game. Nice. Good quality of life for console players. Shrines are now much more reliably interacted with when using a gamepad. Added a new gem tag, barrageable, okay. To indicate skills that can be made to repeat. Clarify which skills barrage and similar effects can and cannot affect. Okay. Added support for a new type of microtransaction character skin. Ooh, is that? I think that's our gender swapping, which is gonna be freaking cool. A bunch of people have been talking about the new MTX for that, and I'm hoping that it's not just like different costume things, or you know, weird looking character models or something like that. I'm assuming that was so that they could do, you know, like right now we play as a female huntress, but you could like swap over to a male huntress. So. Improve the audio of the unique item Wake of Destruction. Another little audio change there. Improved Lachlan the Endless Laments AI when fought in a party. Party changes. Improved Rattle Cage the Earthbreaker's AI when fought in a party. Both of these are fairly slow moving bosses, so I'm assuming they probably just adjusted like some targeting and stuff like that, so that you can't get them locked going in a circle or something. Especially with Rattle Cage, like even when I was fighting against him in the Sekimas, like it was really easy to just kind of like get him stuck going in a circle. So I could imagine that in party play is probably pretty easy to beat. Change the classification of some chests so their labels are always shown. Assuming probably rare chests and stuff like that. Added an option in the game tab to always prioritize interacting over using skills. This option is on by default. I don't know if I like that. I think I would turn that off. Option in the game tab to prioritize interacting over. Yeah, I think I would turn that off. I don't really care if my guy swings his sword around or whatever when I'm trying to pick up an item or open up a box or something like that. I'd rather have him attack rather than try to open something, over him constantly trying to open something rather than attacking. Like, it's especially if you're trying to kill like a monster that's near a box or something. Interesting. Good that it's an option, but I think I'll probably end up turning that off. Added pop-up text tips for options, exit, and patch notes buttons on gamepad. More console QOL there. Purchasing an equipable microtransaction from the in-game store now displays an option to equip it to your current character immediately. Cool. So you don't have to go like through all the menus, like attach all that shit. The socketable stash tab has been updated with spaces for the newly added socketables in this patch. Nice. Yeah, so some pretty decent little miscellaneous changes. Not a whole lot. Again, a few little audio changes and things. Some search filters. Not a ton of like really big changes, but some good little bit of quality of life. So can't go wrong there. Right, and into the bug fixes. Fixed many significant cases of players or monsters getting out of sync, especially in party play. Okay. Fixed 4 instant crashes and 3 client crashes. Nice. And worse than crashing in the middle of a big battle. Fixed a bug where Delwyn would have no viable target for Asmerian Wisp to chase. This actually happened to me multiple times when I was playing through campaign, which is very, very strange. He would appear, he'd be crouched down, you could go up and talk to him and everything like that, but there would be no Wisp around. So hopefully that fixes it and doesn't happen anymore. So kind of disappointing when you're like, ooh, I get a Wisp and we'll chase down a rare monster, and then there's just nothing there. Fixed a bug where ice shards could use incorrect values for determining critical hits, potentially resulting in long periods of the same outcome. I'm assuming that long periods of the same outcome is like 2%. Fixed a bug where blink couldn't be used to dismount a row amount. Oh, interesting. All right then. Fixed an issue where the hungering stalker monsters could fail to engage the player. Fixed a bug where the tracking scroll of treasures microtransaction was not working correctly. Fixed tactician's cannons ready and notable, not causing totems to use skill when you fired attack projectiles from some skills that fired projectiles upwards, such as hailstorm rounds and siege cascade. Ah, interesting. Good little fix. Tactician is a really cool. Really cool. My other character that I was playing, I've got my Huntress, which I've been playing as the Ritualist. I've been playing as the Ritualist, but the Mercenary also has the Tactician, and I've been running Tactician on my Mercenary, and there's some really cool stuff in Tactician. Fixed desync that could occur when disabling your crossbow. Fixed a bug where omens in the Titan inventory expansion did not work. Ooh, that's not good. Fixed a bug where melee attacks and blood hunt did not correctly clear the culmination combo counter after use. Lame. It could have just that could have stayed as a feature instead of a bug. Fixed a bug where some arrows could be invisible when fired. Okay. Fixed a bug where Hex Blast Curse indicator did not match when triggered by low duration curses. Stacks of blocks from Ancestral Aid support are no longer consumed if supported skills are cancelled early. That's a nice fix. Fixed an issue preventing the rare monster in the Haunted Treasure Landmark room from dropping any items or granting experience on death. Ouch. That's a really good bug fix. There were frustrated people with that one. Fixed a bug that allowed players to warp back to an empty arena with Temporal Rift at the start of the Trial Master fight. Fixed Comet being desync for other clients when manually performed. Fixed bug where specters could get stuck in their wisp form. Fixed an interaction that could cause charge infusion to grant the wrong amount of stats when weapon swapping. Oof. Fixed a bug that could cause balance support gems to be grayed out when crafting support gems. This is something that happened to me so many freaking times, to the point where I would start looking at what what gems would be supported for whatever skill gem that I was trying to upgrade, and then I would just go to all gems because it just kept graying out the ones in the recommended tabs and stuff. Very frustrating bugs. I'm glad that they fixed that. It'll make it a lot easier now. Fixed chance to not consume crossbow ammo, causing desyncs for other party members. Okay. Quite a bit of bugs with the crossbows and the mercenary. Fixed a bug in Exile that would cause the entranceway to the fight against a Viper Natsu to not appear. That's kind of important. All right. Fixed an issue where one affliction, one pact, 2 minor boons, and 1 major boon are all appearing 50 to 100 times more commonly than intended. Yikes. This often resulted in the first 2 minor boons, first major boon of every Sanctum run to these. These ones were also some of the least interesting and least powerful, so overall issued now more variety, obviously. I remember them talking about in the preview as well. I'm pretty sure they chatted about it in the interview with Talk to Tribe. Fixed a bug that would cause attack speed to be much slower than intended while dual wielding. Fixed a bug that caused monsters with inherent energy shield to have less energy shield than intended when summoned as specters or tamed beasts. That's a good fix. The tamed beast is fun. I've been enjoying the heck out of that with my hunters. I keep a skill gem on me at all times, the tamed beast, just in case I come across a rare that's just like really cool looking, has some cool modifiers. Capture them. It's a cool little feature. Fixed a bug that could cause Alani, the water goddess, to repeat her dialogue. Fixed a bug that would cause expedition logbook areas to fail to generate. Ouch. Good fix. Fixed a bug that allowed scepters dropped by rogue exiles to have invalid runes socketed in them. Fixed a bug on gamepad where you could not enable more than 1 tamed beast companion of a different monster. Not enable more than 1. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, because with the huntress, when you get tamed beast, there's a section on the passive skill trees that you can get to, which allows you to summon in more than 1 beast companion, which is really cool. That's actually what I'm working on right now in my end game, is trying to get enough points to unlock that. They've got some pretty cool beasts already. Fixed a bug where the hideout map device's stat interfaces could not be collapsed. Fixed cosmetics menu info pop-ups for gamepad. Cool fixes. Fixed a bug where player 2 could be unable to enter a character name when creating a new character on gamepad. Fixed a bug where presence radius would not be displayed when playing on gamepads. Lots of really good console updates. Fixed a bug on gamepad where Gemling Legionnaire's gem-studded notable didn't work on gamepad. Added a missing error message on gamepad when trying to open a corrupted nexus without meeting its requirements. So lots of gamepad adjustments. And fixed the Atlas not removing visual corruption after cleansing a corrupted nexus map until after you changed areas. And finally, fixed a bug where some microtransaction combinations would cause weapons to have black squares surrounding them. All right. Well, it looks like that's about it for update 0.21. Not a massive amount of changes. To be completely honest, I was actually expecting a little bit more than this. What they did change is we're definitely moving in the right direction. They've added a lot of really good buffs and stuff to some existing uniques, made uniques just a lot easier to find. So hopefully that's going to make it more fun to actually start chasing uniques now. Before it was just kind of like, well, if I find a unique, it's going to be, something level 20 to level 30. Not really going to help me with my end game run. So the fact that they've adjusted those spawn rates, especially, where was it here that I saw? This one here, changing unique items drop calculation to no longer consider an items class. This actually makes a massive difference in what will actually spawn for unique. So instead of rolling for whether the item is a specific class and then rolling for whether it's going to be unique, that's going to make a big difference. Now it's just going to be a pool of unique items, and then you'll randomly get something from that pool. And they also reduce the number of common uniques that'll drop. So that's also a really nice change. So hopefully that means that we're probably going to get some better stuff out of those drops now. It's kind of mid, to be honest. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Swift, that the last couple of updates that they did, the lettered updates that they've been doing, I think had a lot more to them than this numbered one, which is very surprising for me, because it going from 0.20 to 0.21, I was really expecting something like huge. And I guess the runes and the talismans, the soul cores, like the new sockables, that's kind of like the big thing that they were pushing, and the changes to the unique items. But I don't know if maybe I was just expecting like more monster balancing and whatnot. Like it seems like all they really balanced for monsters was really just volatile plants, and they changed like a couple of small monsters and stuff and a few boss things. But yeah, adjusting the end game maps, creating more variety there, that's going to make a big difference. So you're not going to be playing the same maps over and over again. And changing the citadels, having citadels spawn in triplets, that'll make it a lot easier to actually get to the pinnacle battles, which is nice. I've never done them yet because I haven't been able to find all three of the citadels. So that is a nice little change. I'll take it. It's better than nothing, right? So, all right. Well, that is about it for the Path of Exile 2 segment. What do you guys think? What do you think of 0.2.1? Obviously, you've heard my opinions on it. Let me know over on YouTube down in the comments section below what you think about this update. I think they've done a pretty decent job with what they gave us. They gave us some pretty good changes. The unique changes are nice. Some new runes and stuff like that is really cool. I'm always happy about new socketables. Socketables are kind of boring for the most part, especially the way that they are now with just upgrading stats and minor modifiers. So having some really cool end game stuff to chase down for runes, I think that's a pretty good change. But overall, not too shabby. I am definitely looking forward to seeing what they bring in 0.3, which from what I've heard is planned for, I believe, August is when the next major update is planned for. So sometime in August, we should be getting 0.30, which is also going to bring with it a new season as well, which I'm assuming maybe a new class, maybe a new act. Hopefully some new acts would be nice. I'd love to be able to play acts 4, 5, and 6, but a new class would be cool too. Right, there's a lot of different classes that they haven't added yet. They haven't added swords yet, so there's definitely like more weapons and things that they can bring in. So yeah, looking forward to 0.3 for sure. 0.2.1, that was the patch notes there. If you guys want to check out the patch notes for yourself, you can find out down in the description below. So yeah, make sure you check that out. Don't forget to stop by the Discord. Keep up to date with everything SASS. Follow us over on Twitch and also on Kick. We are streaming on Kick all the time now, so make sure you follow us there. You can drop a subscribe once we've got everything all verified and whatnot. Hopefully after our next stream, we'll have that all set up. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and we will see you all next time. Happy hunting, survivors.